Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. For the next 30 minutes, we invite you to be part of the conversation by calling 219-362-0522. And you can now text your questions to the Liquor Vault on-air line or by email to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media LLC, or the sponsors. The Liquor Vault on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. This is Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome, friends. Today is September 30th, the last day of September. We are inching closer and closer to the election season. It's getting colder. The air is crisp. And there's lots of signs in your yards. So welcome to Sound Off. My name is Nate Laux. Good to have you with us today. We're not going to take calls on our election shows, though we do want your questions. We're just trying to get as much time with the candidates as we can. So if you have a question today for our council candidate, Mike Rosenbaum, you're welcome to text me at 219-362-0522. That's the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. Or you can email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com, and I'd be happy to read your questions if you have them. Again, I want to get the access to you for the candidates, but we want to make sure that the candidates have enough time to talk. There's just not enough opportunities for candidates to get their messages out, to be hopefully, connected with their voters and to talk about what they value. So we wanted to make sure we do these in the run up to the election with the election shows. Now, if you ever miss an episode of Sound Off, you can go to wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and find it there, or just head to hometownnewsnow.com and there's a segment or a section for podcasts. You can also listen to the Morning Mayhem, different sections like the mayor section there as well. It's a great little section that we put on there for people that might not be able to catch all of the episodes. I know you want to listen live, but if you're busy, you got something going on and you have to catch up, it's for you. All right, today in the studio, we've got Mike Rosenbaum, Republican incumbent, running for Laporte County Council District 4. No stranger to the show. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, Nate.
Good to have you today. How is the campaign going?
I believe it's been going very well. I am surprised by the support from both sides of the aisle. And that's been from day one. It's not for any special reason other than the fact that when I get involved, we have to drop sometimes, what classification, if you want to call it, you are, or what team you started off on. You still go with those same theories and the same thought processes, and you're true and loyal to being a conservative fiscal or whatever, even though we are been spending quite a bit of money these past couple of years. But when the federal government says here's 21 million, what do? And we've already spent 11 million and probably have a couple more million out of that's already spent. It's allocated.
So how much, though, also, again, with the way that the way Indiana does budgets is a little bit different. The state as a whole, right? In Michigan, I think they just have property taxes, and the property taxes get, brought down to the cities. And in Indiana, they've decided we're going to let the counties we're going to tax less in the state, but we're going to let the counties do some of their own taxes, right? And which then certainly makes you guys have to be more involved with the taxation process because it's not just a state level thing. How much does that, though, impact fiscal responsibility, these kind of conversations? Because if you're going to have taxes, the county actually has to be involved in either raising or lowering them, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, the state the state of Indiana has done a great job with their budgets and being able to keep state taxes low. And quite frankly, I have to admit that's one of the reasons why I moved to Indiana 12 years ago. So for me, it was definitely an asset to come to a state after coming from the New York metropolitan area where you're highly taxed at every level, including real estate taxes as well. I mean, if I want to go apples to apples, you can't. And then when I was offered opportunities in Illinois, again, leaving here to go to Illinois, I'm not going back into that high tax scheme stuff. So to get to your point, the state put some restrictions on the county. So you're only allowed to raise so much. You're only restricted to 1% of the fair market value or the assessed value. And it goes on and on and on, with the restrictions. But what you're probably referring to is, these local income taxes where sometimes the only way that you can get money to pay for long-term process or for long-term events is that you really do have to take a look and see whether or not you need to put into place a local income tax. And this county has had a local income tax for quite a while. It was at 0.95, and it was really for economic development is primarily what that was. And then this past year, and I'm not hiding from it at all, I was a proponent of it because it was the only solution available to us, and that was to pass a public safety lit. And in doing so, it's allowing us to bring salaries on a permanent basis up to what the market is or close to the market. Laporte is not going to pay the most money in any area for unfortunately, we just don't have that type of volume of the number of people here. We don't have the assessed homes here. We certainly can use a lot more homes. We certainly can use a lot more people in our county. But we have to plan for that. And right now, we're hoping for that, and we're slowly planning for that. And some of it has to come at the city level, even lower. But getting back to the other part, as far as the taxes go, and then the budget process, one of the things that, gets very interesting, you have an operational budget, which is, your everyday expenses. And then you have what I'll call as a capital budget, or the uh-ohs that happen. And we're fortunate that we have riverboat funding coming from the blue chip, and that gets paid throughout the county at different levels to different communities and at the county level as well. And so that's what I'll call is what we use for our uh-oh budgets, but we've been using it for some capital improvements in the past to fund the pension for the sheriff's department. We don't have to do that anymore.
So I believe I read right that the local income tax for public safety that you and other council members voted to pass, I think all but one voted to pass. Mm-hmm. Councilman Yagelski was on the show last time and explained why he voted no. He wasn't against it in theory, but wanted a little more detail. But it goes into effect, I think, tomorrow, correct?
As a matter of fact, it does.
Yeah, so October 1st. So take me through, though, again, local income tax. This is something that Indiana does. And we've talked to state reps and state senators. The idea behind this is, again, we want to make taxes as low as possible at the state level. And then the counties get to decide. You want a higher tax county? They can have a little bit higher over here, a lower tax over here. And there's a little more options for county commissioners and councils to decide what they want to do. They believe that putting the hands in their local government for them is the better option. Now, what happens, and I know you've thought about this, but what happens if the wage idea, because this is going to increase wages for EMS, what if that isn't enough to attract the people that we need in LaPorte County? What is the next step, or what else can the council and commission do together to get the people that we need for the public services here in LaPorte County?
Well, there's a couple of things that go into it, and one of the other things is benefits. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, the sheriff's department has some of the best benefits in the state that you can get. So they're already at that higher level. Their pension is separate from the rest of the members of the rest of the employees. The other employees have had also have a retirement plan for them as well that's partially contributory, as like a 401k, and they also have some match as well. And so that's typically choice number 2 is to help your employees, is to give them better benefits. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of there. The other thing that a lot of people forget, even though some of our salaries are low in overall, and we'll say that they might be low. I don't want to say definitely low, but let's say they might be low, and I'm going to hint on that one. But for benefits, in the private industry, people pay 35-40% of their medical insurance. We're paying 15% as an employee. That's all we're charging them. Mm-hmm. So a family coverage could be over $20,000, and all they're paying is $3,000 of it. Now, to somebody who's making less than $40,000, $3,000 is a lot of money. I agree, but $4,000 is worse, or 5,000's worse, and high deductible, even worse. So that's one of the other ways that we do it. And then the third thing is really trying to make a cultural change. And sometimes it has to be by department and where you really like your coworkers. I'm experiencing this now in my current employer. Their culture is everything, is a major factor in what they in part of the fiber of the company, and it says so in their mission plan. You know that part of the culture, and it's amazing to start off a meeting with 100 and some odd people there, and for some people they might be offended if we have a little prayer, but I'm not offended, at all. I thought I took a little to get used to from not ever having anything like that. Certainly, certain places, and may not even think to do that. But if it helps bring people together and helps them feel this sense of warmth, and just that's the other thing that's your third factor.
Yeah.
Because you can keep throwing money, but if people aren't happy, and if people aren't doing things that they feel are rewarding, then they should make that choice for themselves, and find another solution for themselves.
All right, we've got Laporte County Council District 4 candidate Mike Rosenbaum, who's running for re-election in this November election. You're welcome to text us. Don't call us, 219-362-0522, or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. I see we got some questions coming in. We're going to take a break, and we'll get to your questions right after this break. If you've got a question, you're welcome to, again, text me, 219-362-0522, or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. It's good to have you with us on today's show, Friday, September 30th. Keep listening. We'll be right back here, only on 96.7 The Eagle.
Ben Conowitz here, owner of Laporte Seamless Gutter. My parents started Laporte Seamless Gutter in 1982 with one goal in mind, really. Our customers' 100% satisfaction. And we are still providing the same customer service that Tim and Seal Conowitz started all those years ago. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com. 219-362-9972.
Hi, I'm Connie Grammarosa, and I'm running for Laporte County Commissioner, currently serving on the County Council. As a conservative, I have always asked the tough questions, being fiscally responsible with your tax dollars. I will serve with honesty and integrity and be an ambassador for all of Laporte County. Serving is not just a mission, it's my passion. I ask for your vote on or before November 8th. I'm Connie Grammarosa, and I approve this message.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, inviting you to join me for the Central States Manufacturing Second Annual Coats for Kids. It's happening Saturday, October 1st at 2051 Tryon Road in Michigan City. It's going on from 10 till 1. I'll be there from 10 till noon. Central States will be giving away winter coats to children pre-K through 12th grade. There'll be coats, giveaways, snacks, and, of course, the live broadcast from 96.7 The Eagle. Please join us Saturday, October 1st for the second annual Central States Manufacturing Coats for Kids. With me, Rick Anthony.
You're invited to RP Home and Harvest's huge one-year anniversary celebration sale on October 1st and 2nd. It's 2 days of family fun, plus tons of great savings with hot buys on firearms, grills, patio furniture, apparel, and much more. Bring the family between 10 and 2 on October 1st and 2nd for police dog and vendor demonstrations, food vendors, pet adoptions, balloon artists, prizes, and more. It's all happening on Saturday the 1st and Sunday the 2nd at RP Home and Harvest, rooted in the heartland at 4301 South Franklin Street, Michigan City.
Laporte High School Slicer varsity football is on 96.7 The Eagle. Tonight, the Slicers host the Crown Point Bulldogs. Slicer football proudly brought to you by Auto Body Specialties, MC Doors, O'Brien's Battery and Tire, All-Star Autos, Cubit Networks, Raymond & Spence Insurance, Surf Internet, Back to Health Chiropractic, Laporte Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Rosie Michaels of Coldwell Banker First Choice, and by Marsh Insurance Agency. Join Chip Jones and Steve Mattering beginning at 6:45 tonight for Slicer football action on your radio home for Slicer Sports, 96.7 The Eagle.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Indiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Indiana Broadcasters Association and this station.
Smiles are powerful. They spread joy, laughter, and hope. But not everyone gets a fair chance at a smile. Every 3 minutes, a baby is born with a cleft, making it difficult to talk, hear, eat, and even breathe. In America, most children with clefts receive immediate care, but others around the world may never have access to the surgery they need to thrive. Smile Train is changing that. As the world's largest cleft charity, our sustainable model has sponsored more than 1.5 million smiles. We offer training and financial support to local medical professionals so they can provide life-changing surgery and other essential services at no cost to families.
It's important to see these children, to hear the difference that we make. And for me, being born with a cleft lip and palate, knowing what they went through, is so life-changing for me.
Help us change the world one smile at a time. To learn more, visit smiletrain.org/learn.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling or texting the Liquor Ball on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
All right, welcome back, friends. Good to have you with us. We are in our election coverage shows. It's been great to see so many people listening and sharing, and our podcast numbers are higher right now. So we hope that you are a little more informed as you go into your voting box here in November. Some of you are probably voting early. It doesn't matter. I just want you to know a little bit more of your candidates beforehand. And today we've got in the studio Mike Rosenbaum for District 4, Laporte County Council. His opponent, Lynn Spivak, did write this. She said, my work schedule has changed and I will not be able to attend. Being on Sound Off, I would be honored to serve Laporte County government as a councilwoman. Great women have served the council in the past 30 years. Blue Chip has given the county great opportunities with funding since 1997. The future spending of taxpayer money will be looked at with my previous county experience. I apologize again for having to work and not being able to participate. So she is not here today. But I do want to ask a question, though, to Councilman Rosenbaum about Blue Chip, right? So here's a question that came in. Could you ask the candidates how they see the future recession and higher crime affecting riverboat funds, given that riverboat funds are a large source of county revenue? Well, I mean, I know this was also impacted because of COVID, right?
Well, yes. And they arguably were fighting even before then with the state to actually get their numbers to be reduced, and eventually they would love to pay nothing. But we are not getting the type of money that we were seeing years ago, obviously, and I don't even think we will ever see those levels.
What happened to that? I don't know. Why is the money getting less and less?
So they went down to the state, and the state has now put a moratorium and changed the rules, so they don't have to pay as much as they did.
Okay.
So let's say they used to have to pay 5%. I'm making up numbers because I don't know the detail.
I get you.
But then all of a sudden they only have to pay 4.5%.
Okay.
So now that's already 1/10 less. So even 1/10 of let's say $4 million is now $3.6 million. And then if they get to do another 1/10 less, it's almost another 0.4 million or another. Now we're down to 3.2 where we were at 4. So let's say we level off at 3 million when we used to be at 4.5. So that's a nice source of money, but that's the fund. What we've been doing with that is we've been taking 50% of it and putting in the rainy day fund. And this has been a practice that was before me, and I'm going to give credit to the people who did it. It was put into what we call the emergency fund, and right now we're building it up for a reason, and I'll explain. But it was very helpful to have. No other county that we are aware of had that type of healthy fund when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, we didn't have to take away other things. We didn't have to furlough anybody, although I think economically both they and us could have done better for it. But we didn't have to do those things because we had that. Now, right now, one of the goals that we want to do is we would really like to build that fund so that eventually we can pay off the Michigan City Courthouse early, not have interest payments, although they're extremely low right now, because we have another courthouse that also needs major repairs. At the same time, back then it was about $15-16 million. Now, if everything's 40% higher, that's $20 million. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, because I don't have a study on, an accurate study of it. So then we would need to start doing this again, and we would need to bond out for those repairs. And then there's yet even a third thing sitting out there that people may or may not realize. Our jail. It's not young. And we're starting to have some very, very costly repairs. You have a repair to an elevator that's over $400,000. So these little things start adding up, but you start wondering, is that, at what point? Right now we're not there, but at what point?
Do you see, because we've had the sheriff candidates on, we've had some other candidates that have talked about the jail, and both of the sheriff candidates, Ron Heege and Andy Heineck, both brought up this point that though the jail doesn't seem old, right? It was built in the 70s, I think. It is used 24/7, and it's used hard, right? And so there's no time off there. And so I think some people have pushed, again, it doesn't seem like a tremendously old building. Do you think, though, that this is something in the next 4 years that the council is going to have to start approaching? Both sheriff candidates do believe that, for the record, that, again, not that we need a new jail in the next 4 years, but it is going to have some serious questions about funding these kind of things. Is that something you see on the periphery in the next 4 years?
I'm going to say absolutely. Now, I don't think any major plan is going to happen in the next 4 years, but I do believe in a couple of years from now is when serious planning must begin. Because sometimes planning could take 2 years before you even go anywhere with it. You still have to, you have to get an engineer. You have to have a design plan. Look, I can't tell you how long it took for us to do the Michigan City Courthouse, because I wasn't on the body. I walked in and it was like, okay, time to fund this. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, what are we funding? And so we did, I went through, did my due diligence and everything as well on it. But I believe that is the third thing. I think we have a Michigan City bridge that we've got to keep on. I started talking about this in the spring. I spoke with the contractor that's doing a lot of the work out there and got a great email on suggestions for what needs to be done in the next cycle. And now we just got an actual analysis, and it's over $1 million. And it's kind of in line with what was thought, that it would be $1 million for 5 years in a row. Unfortunately, some of the repairs that were needed were $1.5 million the first year, and this now, because of inflation, is like $1.3 million. So I think that's like number one on the list, and I think the Laporte Courthouse, and this is not taking away from the other thing that's been a passion and something I feel I've been very successful with, and that's with some many other people as well, and many groups of people, and that is the fairgrounds. There's still some money to be spent there, not as much as has been spent in the past couple of years, but there's still going to need to be some more money spent there in order to make it one of the top in the state. So you bring up fairgrounds, and I know that was just a conversation I think that you had recently in council, because I think there was some money maybe spent on a new PA system or something throughout the fair board, or the FEMC brought up, they want some more things. And I know there's an ongoing conversation happening, right? There's also multiple partners at the fairgrounds. It's a very interesting kind of entity, because you've got the county's event type of, you've got the county that actually owns the property, and you've got 4-H and Purdue Extension. How do you decide whether or not, again, these funds are worth it, and who should be the ones paying for them? So obviously, we let's put things where they are. You have the FMEC, which is comprised of all of these different representatives from all these different groups, okay? They are the ones to see what needs to happen. They are the ones that say, okay, this we should go in front of the council for. No money's being spent without the council knowing about it. However, the one thing about the FMEC now that they have operational funds, because we're able to lease out the campgrounds for longer during the year. We're able to rent out the buildings now that people want to rent them, now that they've been cleaned up a little bit more, painting the buildings look nicer and stuff. So now there's revenue to pay the operating expenses. So it's not a constant drain on the county to have this. So we're meeting expenses now, but who knows in the future years. The goal is so that maybe they take on some of that responsibility. I don't see that happening in the next 2 years. Who knows? But there's still more things, little things. Now, the speaker system is kind of odd and unusual, because before FMEC got involved, which is only about 3 or 4 years old, what happened was the ag group, we'll call it, or the Fair Board group, they were getting donations from everywhere and anywhere to make things work, and a person put in the equipment, and the only equipment that's there is this person's equipment, and it is getting old, it is getting antiquated, and it's not easily used. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is that because that fairgrounds is used as an emergency station for horrible events, like fortunately we don't have hurricanes here, but if we need to get NIPSCO needs to bring in people to help out because of storms.
A staging kind of location.
It's a staging area, and having intercom systems, having a system that they can all over the place. They can tell people in different sections what they need to know. And so if there's something going on in one area that, let's say, if the people that are in the campgrounds need to know some information, the information could go just to them, because who's going to need to know about hookups, sewer lines, that's in the camping area if you're over in the fair, so you don't need to know that. So those are the things. And it's also good that the county, it's their building, it's their facility, they should have full control. So we looked at a price tag roughly of $60,000 on that.
All right, we're going to take our final break. If you have a question, we've got Laporte County Council District 4 candidate Mike Rosenbaum on the show. Mike is running for re-election. If you've got a question for him, 219-362-0522. You can text me. We're not taking calls today, but you can text 219-362-0522, or you can email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. We're going to take our final quick break, and we'll be right back here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Life is full of unexpected ups and downs. Your garage door shouldn't be one of them. But when it does happen, don't panic. MC Doors same-day service is here for you. For over a quarter century, homeowners and businesses throughout Northwest Indiana and Southwest Michigan have trusted locally owned and operated MC Doors. Not only for the unpredictable emergency, but also for professional garage door sales, service, and installation. Check out mcdoors.com for more information.
Vote Fagan 2022. Who is Sean Fagan? He's a lawyer. He's a Republican. Sean Fagan, running for Laporte County Prosecutor 2022. Sean Fagan knows that Laporte County is a great place to live, and he wants to keep it that way. Sean Fagan for Laporte County Prosecutor 2022. Be safe. Be strong. Let's work together. Vote Sean Fagan 2022. This message paid for by Fagan for Prosecutor.
Join 96.7 The Eagle every Sunday morning from 9 to 9:30 a.m. for Bethany Church's Sound Up. Enlighten your Sunday morning with inspirational words of faith from Pastor Dennis Meyer. Bethany Church's Sound Up every Sunday morning from 9 to 9:30 a.m. on 96.7 The Eagle.
Paul's Auto Yard in Westfield is paying top dollar for junk cars and scrap metal, including copper, brass, and aluminum. Drive it in or have them haul it away for you. Put some fast cash in your pocket and get rid of that junk car, running or not. Need a part for your car or truck? You can pick and pull from any of Paul's Auto Yard locations. Paul's Auto Yard has been in the business for over 45 years and will beat anyone's price. Hey, don't take my word for it. Give them a call today, 219-785-2613. That's 219-785-2613.
Hey, who's hungry? Because I've got a deal for you. Dennis Adele here to introduce you something new to the Morning Mayhem. Every weekday at 6:55, it's Denny's Diner. Yep, Joe and I will cook up some trivia questions, and if you have the correct answer, you'll be the winner of a $20 gift card from either JJ's Sideout Bar and Grill, the Burger Bar and Grill, JJ's Pizza Shack, Wanna Pizza, or Nowhere Bar and Grill. So join us weekdays for Denny's Diner at 6:55 on the Morning Mayhem for your chance to win here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Michiana weather. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with a high of 67. Northeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows around 43 tonight. High of 69 tomorrow. From the Weather Center at hometownnewsnow.com. Right now, 61.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back to our final segment of Sound Off here. If you've got a question, we've got Mike Rosenbaum in the studio. Mike's running for re-election in Laporte County Council District 4 race here in Laporte. I have a question for you, Mike. You actually are in Laporte. You are a council member that lives in Laporte and, spend a lot of time here. The mayor of Laporte has talked significantly about the need for a corridor or bypass that goes around the city. The Main Street Association here in Laporte, a collaborative of businesses here on Lincoln Way, wants that to happen as well. There's been a lot of debate on the county level, though. Again, there's the debate of need, but also the debate of cost. Where do you stand on some of that? Mark Yagelski said, again, he thought maybe ultimately he could be for this. We've had other council people that have said, nah, I just don't think it's needed. Where do you stand on it?
Well, let's be frank. I live on Highway 35.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, getting traffic off of my street in front of my 112-year-old house so that my 50-year-old windows don't rattle, the 112-year-olds don't rattle, but the 50-year-old windows rattle. So personally, I put that all aside. Do I think that the proposal has merits? Yes, I do. Right now, there's not enough funding for it. There is talk in the federal government about pushing down a lot of money for these type of things, but until it comes through, I don't even know where we should even have this discussion. Mm-hmm. And what I am most concerned about is if you're going to do it, it's got to have the minimum effect on people. And don't tell me that you're going to put it through somebody's farm so that you have a minimum effect on people. That's not a minimum effect. When somebody loses their farmland or you split it in half, that's not. That's not going to work or fly. And I will tell you that since coming to the Laporte and coming to not just the city, I've traveled all throughout the county. I've had the pleasure of meeting some really great farmers and understanding, I've been on some of these farms, walked around some of these farms with them, walked around with their, in and around their animals and everything. And I did not walk the cornfields. I don't need to walk cornfields to understand how they're all taller than me. But you do understand and the importance of that. If they don't have that land, they've got nothing to make money. So that becomes serious. But in all respect, right now, I'd like to see something happen. I haven't seen the solution that I can just jump on.
Sure.
And again, this conversation about there being money available, we just haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's a question for you. And again, choose to answer this or not. As I know, it'll get into some personal stuff, but you resigned from the Laporte County. And this is not me. This is me asking somebody else's question, just to be sure. You resigned from the Laporte Republican Party executive team. As a Republican, I'm worried that these resignations are going to make the party look fractured and not on the same page when we are in the midst of a very, very important election. Do you regret or resigning from Laporte County GOP leadership?
No, I don't regret my decision at all. I really didn't want to do it, but I wasn't on. I really don't even want to talk much about it. I'm being honest with you. I did not give anybody any reason in my resignation. I just said it's time for me to leave. And it was a pleasure serving everybody. And I would kind of like to leave it at that. As far as fracturing, that's for anybody else to decide how they want to believe. I think you're going to go out there, you're going to vote for the best candidate that's available. And I've said it before. You asked me once before in a show several months ago, is it all for one or do you go sprinkle around? And I say you find the best candidate, and you want the best for yourself. You want the best for your community, and I'm going to still stand by that.
All right. Here's another question for you. Now that we have given raises and more to come with the local income tax, we are still losing employees. Should it be time for leadership skills to determine what's essential, non-essential, what can be eliminated or outsourced, instead of raising our taxes to buy votes before the election? So this listener here often asks, is there ability to downsize some of the government?
I'm very grateful that question came up. I have been listening to several listeners like this one, and whether I know who it is or not doesn't make a difference. I have spoken to a professional firm about doing an efficiency study. I even received a proposal for it. Until anybody's willing to listen to it, will not be until after the elections, and that's not on me. I went out there and I got it. I spoke about it and I got it. Yes, there could be some opportunity to do it. We're seeing only small amounts of it. You're talking about these raises are only coming out of lit right now. They're not out of the new public safety lit. They're not coming out of the regular taxes. There are those departments that are still in that general fund, we'll call it. We have not decided on the level that we're going with it as a group. We cannot talk about it unless we're in a public forum. We can have little small conversations in a group of one or two others, and that's it. And there's really a need to take care of all employees. All employees are essential. There will be some more raises, possibly not to, beyond this. And it's not for votes. If people think that we're doing this for votes, they're sadly mistaken, because this is all about what's right, about giving a fair wage to somebody who does a job. And if they're going to leave because they can make $10,000 or more someplace else, then maybe you really have to look inward and say, are we really doing right by our employees? And for some part, we haven't been. But then if the money's not there, you can't. But guess what? There is a little bit of money there to start doing some of it. But we've also asked for a study, a salary study, which unfortunately we're not going to get until December. So it's not timely. And we can't make all the decisions all this year. We may have to make some of these decisions next year.
All right. So we've got Mike Rosenbaum on the show. Mike's running for re-election for Laporte County Council District 4. Just a couple minutes left on the show. I want to talk a little bit about, because this can be controversial for some of our, especially rural people, but also the need for population growth here in Laporte County. Last show in Council 3, we talked with Deb Vance and Mark Yagelski. We talked about the need for more population here in Laporte County. Other rival counties, right? St. Joe County, Elkhart County, Porter County, they're seeing population growth. And it's allowing their economic development to continue to grow because they've got employees, they've got all these things. What can Laporte do to increase its population? Not the city necessarily, though the mayor does talk about it, but as a county to keep up with our needs for economic development?
We need to start getting more and more relationships with developers, build housing developers, people who will build homes, townhomes, even condominiums, whatever the mix is that can keep it affordable. To come in and say an affordable house is $300,000 is not in my mind, And so we do have different pockets in different areas. We have an underutilized area at KIP, which we're trying to put economically. We have the RDC. We're putting in the rail lines are there. We're now looking to put in a bridge so we can get the hookings. I can't think of the right word at the moment, but the station where you can hook the switching station.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The switching station in, so that now we have access all throughout. The other big thing that we've been working on, and it's a team effort, and I'm not saying I'm the one who did it. I'm not. But it's a team effort, and that is, if you're going to have a business somewhere, you better have internet. And so the idea of getting lines laid now as part of an infrastructure, and that is definitely the way to go, especially now that there's some money, some funding for it. So the more we can put in some of this infrastructure, the more enticing it might be. But that's the way we're going to build it. We have the jobs. We're not filling some of our jobs. So the only way you fill them is if you have housing jobs, and then some of the other things that you're finding some of the cities and other communities are doing is changing the quality of life and making it better. We're trying to put trails throughout the county, linking from one park to another park, around the different lakes. So there's a lot you don't even realize, because it's all piecemeal, and the funding has to be piecemeal. And one of the greatest grant givers is the Laporte Healthcare Foundation. I mean, we're very fortunate to have a group like that. So it's a large combination. But yes, it's got to have where we need to be able to find different pockets of housing near jobs. I mean, I'm used to commuting in the past an hour to get to my job, and sometimes even longer when I was on the East Coast.
Sure.
And now I commute to the second floor bedroom.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, everybody calls when I'm going down for that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But, whatever. And since it's through the computer, you got to run up the stairs. Right. And the dog is barking. No, all good stuff.
Well, we got a minute left of the show. I want to thank you. It's always a joy to have you with us on the show. Councilman Rosenbaum, Mike Rosenbaum, is running for re-election in Laporte County Council District 4. I'll give you the final word. What do you want our listeners to know?
Well, it's very simple. I've been able to accomplish many different things, and I can make a long list. We started work on the Michigan City Bridge. We got funding down for different projects on the southern part of the county. We took care of Cougar Road. There was need for a traffic light over by the middle school and the high school out there. One of the things that I'm going to give other people more credit for, but I was right there to support, and we can't do it on a permanent basis, is to give money to the fire departments, the volunteer fire departments. These people deserve. I've been working so hard in the FMEC and the RDC, and that. I hope to be able to continue to do that. What you find with me is I come prepared to the meetings. You see that. See how many times I make a motion, and it's because I know what's going on. Also, part of transparency is making sure everybody understands what we're talking about. And if it's not getting done, I kind of prod it along. And I give a lot of credit currently to someone else who's running the meetings. I think I prodded enough that he makes sure that we talk about that, so I don't have to. And then the other thing people don't realize is I do a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm not out there for myself. I'm not looking to make myself the greatest person. I don't care if somebody else gets credit for something that we all work on. The EMS raises didn't happen because of a few people. I'm one of those people who prodded it, and so that we stop that loss of people. So I'm there for the people, and I can only ask for your vote on November 8th so that we continue to do positive things in the county.
All right. Thank you so much again. For our listeners, our upcoming shows, Monday, October 3rd, we've got County Commissioner District 1 race. Only Sheila Matias is planning on coming. Connie Gramosa was invited. Friday, October 7th, prosecuting attorney Sean Fagan, Republican Sean Fagan and Democrat John Lake will both be here. Monday, October 10th, State Representative District 9, Republican Dion Bergeron and Democratic incumbent Pat Boyle will be here. And Friday, October 14th, State Senate District 4, Rodney Pohl Jr. has confirmed. We have not heard back from Jeff Larson yet. But those are your shows coming up in the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions, we hope that you do let us know during those shows. It's always a joy to have you listening with us.